Hey everybody, for this episode of Retention Zone, I have a special setup with not one, but three people. And we're going kind of deep in product technology around subscription retention. So I'm happy to have with me two nice people from AWS, Jason and Dan, and Cleeng, Aaron, who we already talked in a previous episode. So let's introduce my guest, Jason.
Thank you, Carlo. Hey, everyone. I'm Jason O'Malley. I'm a senior partner solutions architect, and I work at Amazon Web Services. And the segment I cover is direct-to-consumer and streaming partners. So partners like Cleeng, and had the chance to work earlier this year with the Cleeng team, dive a little bit deeper into what they've been doing, especially using Amazon Bedrock. So I'm excited to dive a little deeper here today.
Thank you. Dan?
Hi, guys. Dan Smith. I'm a senior marketing and advertising specialist. I support our global portfolio of media, entertainment, games, and sports customers here at AWS. I've about 15 years working in the space as a marketer in professional services and in marketing and advertising technology. And I engage directly with our customers on marketing and advertising use cases, but also help enable the broader AWS organization with their customers.
Aaron?
Of course, I'm Aaron, and I'm based in Amsterdam in Netherlands. I'm the BI Director at Cleeng. I've been in this role for just over 3 years, and I look after the areas of analytics and business insights, and most recently, development around generative AI. Before Cleeng, I was in a few different industries, including fintech, but I've always been kind of in the intersection of product, data, and customer retention. So yeah, that's a bit about me, and then look forward to the discussion today.
See, so we have three experts in the room, me excluded. One thing that I want to understand from you is, I think everybody, at least in this audience, in our audience, know about AWS. But what specifically is AWS doing in the media sector, media and sports sector, to help clients and agency and integrators take all this huge amount of data that we are kind of generating, collecting finally, it's happening. But how do we transform that in business intelligence, decisions, real business outcome? Who wants to explain for the ignorant in the room?
Yeah, sure. So what I love about Amazon, AWS, and really my position specifically is that we operate under this concept of working backwards from the customer. So, we start by understanding what our customers' opportunities and challenges are, and then we get to work backwards into the technology that can help them realize those opportunities or mitigate those challenges. In a lot of cases, customers will build with AWS services. In a lot of other cases, customers will work with partners like Cleeng who've built their own technology on AWS. So when you zoom out and think about the business outcome that the customer is trying to achieve, whether that's increasing subscription revenue, increasing advertising revenue, reducing churn, things like that, the reality is that it's usually a combination of technology that customers build themselves and customers acquire from partners like Cleeng. And in a lot of cases, customers might need outside help. They may not have the engineering resources or just the ability to prioritize to help the work. And so we can connect them with partners, AWS professional services or third parties to help them do that. So my job really is to understand the customer's business, the current state of their technology stack, and think about that in the context of the industry. And really bring our portfolio of services and partners to bear. What I want to do is help customers accomplish their goals with the most speed and efficiency that we can.
Great. And Aaron, give us a bit of sense of what, I think you call it SRM, Subscription Retention Management. What is Cleeng providing in that space?
Yeah, of course. And I should be good at this after 3 ABCs. But yeah, with Cleeng, we are a SaaS company. So our software is for subscriber retention management for digital subscription businesses. And we actually take care of a lot of different components in that kind of whole picture, including a subscription management system, payments handling, customer care, and of course, analytics and insights, which I'm the most close to. And collectively, our clients are using Cleeng to effectively manage their subscriptions and subscribers to reduce churn and maximize their recurring revenue. So that's a short intro to kind of what Cleeng provides to our clients.
Mm-hmm. And specifically, I've seen that a component of your offering is ChurnIQ, and there is this new AI assistant. Am I saying it well? I hope. Can you briefly just say what it is, and then Jason maybe can explain how AWS has facilitated that specifically for Cleeng.
Yeah, definitely. So ChurnIQ, as you mentioned, is part of the suite of products that Cleeng provides, which essentially is the analytics platform for our clients to understand how they're doing, who's churning, how's the conversion rate, and so on and so forth. And but there's just so much you can support with predefined dashboards, right? So it's more and more important to really open up the access to data and answer more custom questions. And then this ChurnIQ AI-ssistant that we've pushed out to the market last year was kind of the first example of that, right? So essentially, it's a chat assistant where our clients can ask questions in natural language, and it will understand that question and then being able to produce and visualize a chart to answer that question. May it be, for example, the top 10 transaction volume in the last period, or any other kind of questions about the data that they have at Cleeng. So that's a kind of a short intro to this feature. And then we used AWS Amazon Bedrock as a big part of making this happen. So maybe Jason, you can speak a bit about how kind of that works in the mix.
Yeah, definitely. And that was one of the things when I got to meet the Cleeng team earlier this year and to hear about the really innovative work that they had done in terms of integrating generative AI into this space and making the data available and accessible in a more accessible way. It was really exciting. So I was really excited to get in, working with the team and to dive in deeper to understand what they had done. And so, as Aaron, you mentioned, so Amazon Bedrock is one of the key underlying services that Cleeng used. And so what Amazon Bedrock is, it's our managed generative AI service. So it makes it really easy to build and create generative AI based applications and that leverage underlying foundation models. And so one of the nice things about it is that it's fully managed. And so it comes with a broad set of capabilities that make some of the more complex things about building generative AI a little bit easier, such as simplifying things like development, security, and even considering things like responsible AI. And so what that allows is, so if a company like Cleeng wants to integrate it, they can go and they can experiment with a variety of different foundation models from providers like Anthropic or Meta, and then quickly experiment with those within the playground and to find out which one's going to work the best. And then what's also nice is you can access them over like a single API. So it simplifies that overall integration so that, as you go and maybe you change models over time, or as new models comes out, it makes it really easy to keep that having to go through a lot of code changes or a lot of overhead on the effort. And so when we dove in a little bit deeper with the Cleeng team, what we found was that they utilized the Anthropic Claude model. And so what they did behind the scenes was the Anthropic Claude models running behind the scenes takes in that user query, interprets it, and is able to break that down into a schema that, in the back end, behind the scenes, queries the database and pulls the relevant data and makes it easy to display in a dashboard format.
Sorry, Jason, I wanted to interrupt, but I have a curiosity. How really plug and play is this factor using? Because if I see in one of the other screens, I have like 16 AI tools, LLMs, etc. And for me, I go from one. I'm a human, so I'm not using APIs for the moment. So I switch from one and test. But how plug and play it is in this scenario to switch from one case to the other. Obviously, maybe not directly in production. I can imagine.
Yeah, well, that's part of the ease of it. It is because like in the code underlying it, is that you're calling the API, and then the foundation, the service, Amazon Bedrock, that's going to manage it. So it makes it really easy. And so one of the things the Cleeng team did was I kind of teed it up where there's something called the playgrounds dashboard inside the console. And so what you can do is you can actually have the two models running side by side and try different queries. And you can see where each model shines and which one is the right fit for you, either from things like performance, but also from like cost and just overall accuracy. And so that makes it really easy to choose which one is the best model for you, and then also to switch it out over time. So if there's like a Claude 4 comes out and you want to upgrade, it makes it easy to upgrade because you're not having to rewrite everything. You can just update the API call.
Yeah, that's quite impressive, I guess. Aaron, have you done a lot of those experiments?
Yeah, definitely. And then I think, especially with this technology that's changing so fast, right? Every other week, there's something new coming up.
Absolutely.
I think experimentation is very critical. And then, for example, with the playground, we found it super useful to compare the responses between different models, and then really observing kind of what's the commonalities in the responses, and maybe what are the areas that's prone to hallucination or other errors, and really helps us to go back, kind of fine-tuning that prompt or instruction to the model, and so to get the best results that we can get at this point. And I think another thing I would mention here is also the guardrails, especially for our team, or I guess any teams who's pushing their first Gen AI feature into the production. It's always a bit nerve-wracking, right? It's a generative net technology. You can never control 100% what comes out as output. So having a robust framework underlining it give us kind of the reassurance to say, for the most part, we're pretty covered. And of course, we still need to monitor and test. But in the end, I think that's a good addition to help with kind of the idea to production cycle, so that we can really kind of create something that's useful for our clients and push it to the market.
I think the guardrails too, that's a good point, Aaron, is when you're expanding access to data sets to a wider portion of the employee base at your company, it's nice to know that you can still be very intentional about what access you're giving to people, and that you're not having the model maybe waste cycles or expending tokens on something that is not relevant to what the dashboard is going to provide. So I think that's really key that Cleeng integrated that as well.
And something that I remember Aaron was telling me in the past, that they were using a different part of the AWS stack, SageMaker. Am I correct?
Yeah.
So how does the transition, and now we are using a much sophisticated, if I can say that, AWS stack for this part. How does it, so this is a question mostly I think for Jason, how does it work? How do you support companies going through transition? Because I think, as Aaron said, not only there is LLMs FOMO, I think nowadays you go away for 3 days and wow, something is completely different. But even the company like AWS, the tech stack is continuously evolving, etc., etc. It's not easy for a normal human developer, even with the use of AI for coding or whatever, right?
Yeah, and that's one of the nice things too about the variety of services offered, because you have something like Amazon Bedrock, which is a little bit more what we call more fully managed, and so it makes it alleviates more of that what we call like undifferentiated heavy lifting behind the scenes, and just makes it easy and accessible. But if you find a need that is more advanced, where you do have to tweak more aspects of it or customize it in a certain way, then we do have our service like Amazon SageMaker that can do potentially more advanced configurations if you run into that, or if there's a specific model you need to use that isn't currently available in Amazon Bedrock, then Amazon SageMaker should be able to run that. So that makes that aspect easy as well. And then all the services like Amazon SageMaker, Amazon Bedrock, they integrate well and conveniently with other services. And so I know that was another nice element that the Cleeng team had mentioned to me, was the fact that integrating services like Amazon Bedrock with, say, our database service, Amazon DynamoDB for the NoSQL database, that made that really easy. So to go from like prototype to releasing this feature was streamlined in that sense.
Great. So let me share my experience. I've been in this for a long time. So the beginning was very rudimental. You had some data visualized somewhere in a backend. And then we started building decent dashboard, then very sophisticated dashboard, then customizable dashboard to analyze data. And now we're in this, if you want, chat self-service, AI-based interfaces. How do you see, and it's a question for Dan, the evolution of what's going on in this area, especially from an AWS perspective?
Yeah, so I think what you're seeing is, it's kind of, the way I think about this is accelerating the circle from, data to insights to action, right? And so, we're moving from a world where you may have analytics functions, pulling reports, creating dashboards, or delivering like customizable dashboard products to business users. But what ends up happening in a lot of cases is the business user wants to ask different questions. They might want more context than the dashboard's able to provide, or the dashboard might not have access to the data they need. And so in service of this goal of accelerating that cycle, we're moving to a world where business users can kind of have a conversation with the data, right? They can ask questions. They can ask iterative questions that build on each other. They can ask these dashboards to provide additional context or pull in data from other parts of the enterprise. And so what you're seeing here is it's a movement towards more accessible, more centralized data resources that some of these analytics tools can access and provide.
Fascinating. And I was thinking as you were talking about it, everybody talks about agentic AI. How do you see this kind of AI having a role in what we just described? And by the way, can you first define agentic AI for everybody?
Yeah, sure. Yeah, so you can think about an AI agent as a software application that you can give a goal, and you can enable that software application with a set of tools and resources, and with the advancement of large language models and reasoning, that agent can actually pursue that goal independently, subject to guardrails and restrictions that you set. And there's really a spectrum here. For instance, like you might ask the agent to execute a retention campaign on a certain set of customers. And the agent can select from previous campaigns that have already run and prompt the business user to approve launching it. Or on the other end of the spectrum, the agent can create and launch an entirely new campaign based on what it knows about trends in customer behavior or the success of previous campaigns. And so, the way I think about agents kind of impacting all of this, these workflows and the cycle I've been talking about is this conversation with the data that right now, we're enabling through dashboards and through, conversational interfaces. It becomes proactive instead of reactive. So instead of a business user jumping into a dashboard, looking for insights or trends, and then figuring out what to do, over time, these agents can be, constantly monitoring the data, looking at KPIs, and prompting the business or even taking action on their own.
Wow. And Jason, how is AWS supporting this?
Yeah, there's a variety of ways you can go about it, but the easiest way I see a lot of our partners that I work with going to it is utilizing, I mentioned before, the Amazon Bedrock service that's fully managed. There's a subset of that called Amazon Bedrock Agents. And so what that helps to do, again, because it's fully managed, it's going to help remove some of the undifferentiated heavy lifting of orchestrating the agents and setting them up. And so that makes it easy for, if you're a developer, you can then use the generative AI to deliver these workflows to the organization, especially these agentic workflows that allow for a much wider range of capabilities where, it can break down that request and then query the relevant data store or API based on what the user is looking for at that time, and really giving a lot of flexibility to how to respond to that end user. And so with Amazon Bedrock Agents, so basically the way it works is you integrate it, and then that helps you break down the tasks, create that orchestration plan in the background, and it actually doesn't even require manual coding. And then from there, the Bedrock Agents can connect to, say you have a secure internal company API or a relevant data store. It helps to handle all of that, converting your request into the machine readable context. And then you're able to help generate and sort of dive into this information in these data stores that maybe before would have been a lot more complex to orchestrate or less natural for the end user to experience. So I'm really excited about this whole shift to agentic that's happening.
And Aaron, what's your view in terms of starting then to adopt this kind of agentic AI in what you're doing?
I think it's they're very exciting prospects in this area, and agentic AI is quite the buzzword at the moment. But I think there's really concrete and tangible use cases next to them. And as introduced earlier, right, our Cleeng SaaS software, we handle a lot of processes, operations for the clients. For example, creating a coupon campaign or creating a new subscription plan so that they will sell. Issuing refunds to customers, and that's just a few examples of many different operations that we can get into. And then for us, that's kind of a huge pool of use cases that we can look into better serving our clients' needs using agentic AI. And then since we talked a bit about the AI assistant earlier, and since we've developed that, we actually managed to already go into like Bedrock and then kind of the Bedrock agents that Jason just mentioned, and then create a few POCs on how we might, tackle a few other use cases in addition to the more self-service of our analytics. So yeah, things are looking quite exciting from our point of view, and we're looking forward to continue experimenting and seeing what's possible and expanding from where we are right now.
So let's move to a set of rapid fire questions for kind of everybody now. The first one is, you're marketed then, right? So what is more exciting for you with tools like ChurnIQ AI-ssistant as a marketer?
Yeah, I think it's really this idea of turning data into insights into action in a much more dynamic and kind of always on way. I think we have the ability now to just make really complex things like the customer journey that involves a lot of data, and it's really complex to understand, and make that accessible to the business users, in a way that doesn't require a lot of technical resources. So I'm really excited to see how tools like this make our customers more successful, and how this technology evolves as customers and the technology itself becomes more capable.
I want to launch my subscription platform for my channels, A Guy with a Scarf, Retention Zone, and others. I cannot hire a data science team. What is your best advice?
Customers need to make the foundational investments in a data strategy that sets you up for success. So whether it's a platform like Cleeng, whether it's a CDP or data warehouse, the ability to have access to the data to power either business intelligence tools like Cleeng's offering, or eventually agents to make this a lot more efficient, it's all predicated on having a solid data foundation. And I think the average company has something like 17 different systems with customer data in them. Companies need to understand that this is important, and that it's going to be much more difficult if your data is kind of all over the place. And from there, it's really about leveraging the tools as they come out, tools like AI Assistant, Cleeng, that make that data accessible to business users and empower you to take action much more quickly.
Let's look at beyond 2025. How do you see this cloud AI combo helping businesses in this specific subscription direct-to-consumer business?
If you think about AWS's role in the AI stack, we obviously have our own kind of hardware offerings, custom silicon like Trainium and Inferentia, a number of foundational data and analytics services. We have partners like Cleeng building on top of these services, and then we have customers kind of integrating all that into their applications and their data. And I think all that's going to be really hard to do in your own data center. There's just a lot of tooling and service and scalability that the cloud provides that it's going to be really hard to do yourself.
Imagine I want to start working with Amazon Bedrock. Jason, what should I do? Should I call you, or
you can call me? Yeah, you can call me anytime. You got my number. But in case you don't have my number, there's a lot of easy resources to get started. It kind of whatever feature need. There's video walkthroughs. We actually have step-by-step workshops. Those are my favorite, and those can either be self-service, or if you have an AWS account team, you can reach out to them to see if they can help you set one of those up. But otherwise, there's blogs and source codes that we put online, either in our documentation or on GitHub, and those make it really easy to get started. And so I would encourage you to look for those, seek those out. They're online. They're really easy to access, and like I said, it makes it really easy to get started. So don't be intimidated by all these items. It's start with one item, walk through it, and it's a good starting point.
Yeah, that makes sense. And Aaron, if I want to do my my new AI with Discover Attention Zone streaming app on Cleeng, what's the best way to start?
Yep. The best way to start is simply visiting our website, cleeng.com, and you can actually just create an account with an email address there, and then get a few of our products. And then on our website there, you can also find the demo hub and help center articles, which have a lot of examples and use cases of different kind of elements that we provide. So yeah, I would say that's the best place to be.
Okay, so everybody, really thankful for all the explanation. It's obviously sophisticated, but it seems, to be honest, especially with everything happening in the AI world, at least there is an entry point that is constant. I can build application around it. On the other hand, Cleeng providing this new way of interfacing with data, insights, and action is really fascinating. One thing that just came to my mind is, it's not immediate, but I may guess that we could meet at IBC in Amsterdam in the middle of September, right? September 12th it starts. And I'm planning to do my second edition Retention Zone Live there. So I will lobby maybe to invite some of you to come to maybe replay with, obviously everything will be different because it's 3 months, so everything will be different. But for now, thank you for, by the way, we didn't say where everybody is. I'm in Italy, 36 degrees. Jason?
I'm in Chicago, which is, I don't know how many degrees it is. Very hot right now.
Aaron is in Amsterdam with 20 degrees, I guess, right?
Yeah, pretty much. Yeah, it's sunny. That's all that matters.
I'm in New York, and it's been 100 degrees Fahrenheit the last few days, so I'm excited for it to cool down.
Okay, va bene. Thank you so much again. Ciao.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.